Actually, I'm gonna strip the.
So what we're doing here is we're soldering the ends onto brushless speed control. And when you think about soldering these things together, you're like, oh, that's easy. But this is a pretty big fat solder joint. And in doing this, you need something that's a good soldering iron, something that'll produce a lot of heat. But you also have to have a little preparation. What we'll do is we'll tin the wires first. You get a little bit of solder on the end of the wire like you see there. And then you also put a little bit of solder on the plug there. You can't see it, but on the other side there he's got some solder on it.
I don't have any on this yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I need to solder that
first.
So
we'll go ahead and do that. But once you tin both sides, you put a little bit of solder on there. You don't even really need to flux it. But you put the solder on there, and then you get a little bit of solder on the end of the iron. And then you touch it on both the wire and on the little end there. And it just causes everything to pull together in a nice hot solder joint. So he's just touching you heat the contact for a couple seconds, and then after you've heated that a couple of seconds, then you just touch the solder onto the iron and it'll flow onto your little contact there.
This will stay.
So it's kind of a game of patience and timing. You know, if you stay on it too long, then the solder gets burned up and the flux comes out of it. It doesn't stick very well. But if you go too fast, you know, then obviously the solder won't
Before I forget,
go enough. Yeah, make sure to put your heat shrink onto the wire before you stick it on there, because once you're soldered together, you'll have to take it apart in order to get the heat shrink on there. You really got to have the heat shrink, or else you'll short and ruin your battery or ruin your speed control. So what we do is we've got it set up in the jig like that and everything's touching, and then we also do a little pair of pliers. You have the pliers, the tip of them touch the table, and the reason why you do that is once you heat up the solder, there's a gap between the wire and the thing where there's some hard solder now, but once you get it hot, that gap will go away and then your wire's floating, it's not touching, it's not making contact. So this way you can manipulate it. But you want to make sure that you're touching the table with your pliers, because no human hand's going to be steady enough for that to be perfectly still. So he's wicking away a little bit of the solder. You put it onto it and it just sucks it up, just like the feet of the Wicked Witch under the house in Wizard of Oz. They just go right in there. So you just get a little ball of solder on there and then just touch both of those at the same time. And you let it get shiny. Come get shiny on my knife.
See what I was doing.
So, yeah, Ryland's living dangerously. He doesn't touch the table with the pliers when he does it. I like to have it in a stabbing position and just have it right against the table, and that helps to brace it and make it still, because otherwise you get a little bit of movement. May I? You want to film it and I'll do it?
Go for it.
Alright, no editing, no cutting. We're just going to do this in one take.
We'll watch the more experienced hand.
So I'll lay out my solder on the table so that I can just, you know, wick it up. I'll grab the pliers like this, and you can see we've got solder on both of these already. This is the thing right here. You put the pliers down on the table like that, and you're just going to be alright. This iron could use a little cleaning on the wire wheel too. But you get on there, get everything to flow, and once you watch it get shiny, bam, get off. And then just wait. And if you can hold real still, it's going to create a really good solder joint. This is a real nice setup. It's got a little thing where you can just wipe it on the sponge and get rid of any of the excess solder. If you have a really clean tip, it helps. Like this one, Ryland didn't know that because he hadn't been using this a lot, but you just run the tip on the wire well. Be real gentle, you don't want to grind it, you just want to clean it, so that's how you do it. Once you've got your joint done, give it the old inspection and see if it's nice and flat and smooth and, you know, like it got some good heat to get it together. So on the back side it's a little bit dull, but through here it's shiny enough to compensate for that. If you do them twice, you'll wind up having that kind of an effect. Slide your heat shrink over You can use your solder gun. When you go over it with the solder gun, you can see how it shrinks it down. That's one method to do it. Another method is to use a little pencil torch or something, or you can even use a lighter. If you use a lighter, just keep it moving, rotate it. You know, it's just like cooking a chicken on the spit. You got to keep it moving around, get the heat all the way around uniform, and then you've got a good joint. So, hope this video is helpful. If you like it, be sure to click subscribe. You can add it to your favorites by clicking add to down arrow and then favorites. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.